We have the real reason this WWE star was suspended. A former WWE superstar has been charged with second-degree murder and has a major AEW return just been leaked. But first, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss the latest pro wrestling news. And let's begin then by taking a look at the latest on a huge expiring WWE contract. Many wrestling contracts are set to expire in the year 2024. With one of the most prominent names to make that list being Drew McIntyre, who is currently positioned in the main event scene of WWE Raw. His contract will come to an end after this year's WrestleMania. Earlier this week, a report would drop from Better Wrestling Experience that stated that McIntyre had put pen to paper on a brand new deal with WWE, although according to various other outlets, this is not actually the case. The first to shut down this rumour would be Alex McCarthy of Daily Mail, who confirmed that the Scottish native is yet to extend his stay with his current employer, and he would write, "Contrary to recent reports, Drew McIntyre has not signed a new contract with WWE. The Scot, who has a world title shot against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40 in April, has been talking to WWE about re-signing for close to a year, but no deal has yet to be agreed. His original contract was set to run out before WrestleMania, but the company tacked more time back onto his current deal after he missed a few months of action last year, as first reported by Fightful Select." This report would then be backed up by both Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select as well as Mike Johnson of PW Insider, with them adding some additional details. According to Fightful, both sides are hoping to continue to work together going forward, with PW Insider noting that Drew and WWE are operating under the assumption that he will be re-signing with the company, which likely explains why his push hasn't slowed down despite potential upcoming free agency. And next up, a major free agent is AEW bound. All Elite Wrestling are set for a shot in the arm of their roster in the coming weeks, with Mercedes Moné all but confirmed to be debuting on the March 13th Big Business edition of AEW Dynamite. This on top of the signing of former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay, who would make his first appearance last night on Dynamite as an AEW contracted talent. Following multiple reports that have confirmed Kazuchika Okada is expected to join the company in the near future following his recent New Japan Pro-Wrestling departure, we now have yet another story coming from Fightful Select, who have revealed that the debut is expected to take place on March 6th, and the report notes, Mercedes Moné is planned for a debut on March 13. Will Ospreay is debuting as a full-time wrestler for AEW in Ring at March 3rd's Revolution. The company is poised for many visual changes, and Sting's retirement is going down. In addition to that, we're told that the company has been hoping and at least tentatively planning for Kazuchika Okada to be in the fold by the March 6th episode of Dynamite. During a media call earlier today, ahead of next week's Atlanta edition of Dynamite, Tony Khan would reveal that something very exciting is happening on Wednesday's show, with all signs pointing towards a coin drop that night. Next up, a former AEW star has rejoined WWE. Over the past several weeks, vignettes have aired on WWE NXT hyping the impending arrival of a mysterious individual, leading to speculation on who could be behind the messages. Well, this past Tuesday night, that speculation would come to an end when the final message appeared during a Ridge Holland promo, before the man behind the video showed up inside the arena. During the segment, Ridge would be laid out with a steel chair by a hooded figure, this before revealing themselves to be Shawn Spears. Spears would announce in December that he had left All Elite Wrestling after nearly 5 years, with him now returning to WWE under his Shawn Spears name, rather than the Ty Dillinger name that he was billed as during his last stint with the company. Prior to the appearance, there would be zero reports or leaks confirming that Spears was WWE bound, bar a vague tweet from WrestleVotes who revealed that a surprise return was set for the show. With that said, Fightful Select have released an update revealing who knew what, with NXT staff doing well to keep it under wraps, and they would write, Few in NXT were aware of Spears' return, with one talent noting it was a complete shock. As of 8 PM Eastern, Spears was not listed on internal documents, nor was anyone else listed for Ridge Holland's promo outside of someone listed as quote man. In terms of rehearsals, Shawn Michaels would fill Spears' role with Holland earlier today. One source told Brennan that Spears was signed to a deal sometime before the first Free Faces vignettes began to air. Fightful would add that Spears was received well backstage following his return and was hidden before the show. They would also note that AEW sources have indicated to them that Spears had been let out of his AEW deal early, which of course facilitated the move. And next is this top international star set to sign for WWE. Speaking of WWE signings, it appears that Shawn Spears isn't the only name that's WWE bound. This after numerous reports have revealed that they are expected to sign a former New Japan Pro-Wrestling champion. Earlier in the week, Wrestling Observer would report that former Never Openweight champion Tama Tonga is set to join WWE in the near future. This after he recently wrestled his last NJPW match, beginning in Sapporo on September 24th. The news follows confirmation from the man himself that February would be his last match for the company. The Observer report would then be confirmed by Fightful Select, who noted that the move is expected to happen, and they would write, Tuesday, Wrestling Observer reported that longtime NJPW wrestler Tama Tonga is headed to WWE. Fightful was able to confirm that is the expected move, barring unforeseen circumstances. WWE has maintained interest in Tama for nearly a decade, and the two sides have had many talks over the years. Despite recent aggravated articles citing Dave Meltzer claiming that Tama is set to join the Bloodline, it appears to me that these comments have been taken out of context, with them seemingly instead being a prediction of what could happen if he signs for WWE, rather than reports of what the plans actually are going forward. Therefore, any articles claiming Dave reported this should be taken with a huge grain of salt. Either way, a feud or partnership with the Bloodline would be fitting given Haku, who is Tonga's father, and his relationship with the Anawahi family, although there has been no reports claiming that this is the actual plan just yet. Next up, a current champion is about to become a free agent. And let's continue the theme of WWE signings, as following a report coming out of Tokyo Sports in Japan, another top star could be heading to the land of sports entertainment. Since late 2023, reports have linked current NJPW Strong Women's Champion Julia with a move to WWE after her contract expires this year, something that multiple sources claim is the expectation. Well, we now know when this move could take place, as according to Tokyo Sports, Julia will become a free agent at the end of March, although WWE are not the only company throwing their name into the hat of potential options. The report actually states that her most likely destination would be to link up with former Stardom president Rossi Ogawa and the promotion that he plans to start up. In the past, Julia has said that she still has some unfinished business in Japan, although admitted that a move abroad could be a way of achieving her goals, with her impending free agency being one to watch in the coming weeks. And next we have the real reason that this WWE star was suspended. Matt Riddle is a name that's been attached to many controversies in recent years, events that appear to have been an influence in WWE's decision to let him go in September 2023 during their most recent round of main roster releases. One of the many incidents that's found the King of Bros in hot water was in December 2022 and his suspension from WWE, where he would be written off of television before going to rehab after failing a drug test. Speaking with Ariel Helwani on MMA Hour this week, Riddle would discuss why he was suspended, and he would say,
well, you're allowed to smoke weed. I did it. I went to the strip club and did some cocaine a couple times, and I failed a drug test for that.
That was the first one?
That was the first one. That was for all of them. It was cocaine each time, but it was honestly just random nights. And the first drug test I took, the WWE tests you randomly, say any week, but sometimes you get tested, say, at the end of 1 month and the beginning of another month. So there was 1 week where I failed bang bang, didn't know I failed the second one, and by the time I found out I failed the first one, I got 2 right at once. So I think that's why they were a little more lenient with it, because like, hey, we tested you back to back, you failed both those tests.
Okay.
Riddle now finds himself working for Major League Wrestling, New Japan Pro-Wrestling, and many other promotions, with him currently holding the NJPW World Television Championship, as well as the Combat One World Championship, 2 titles that he had with him inside the Helwani studio. Next up, a former WWE superstar has been charged with second-degree murder. On February 8th, the wife of former WWE and WCW wrestler Billy Jack Haynes would be discovered dead inside the couple's Portland home after gunshots were heard. This followed by a 2-hour standoff between police and the 70-year-old former wrestler. Haynes' wife, Jeanette Beecraft, would be found with a gunshot wound, with Billy later being taken into custody for questioning on suspicion of murder. Whilst charges were not initially filed due to an unrelated medical issue, it's now been confirmed that Haynes is now officially being charged by the authorities, and PW Insider would report the news and wrote, "Former WWF star William Billy Jack Haynes was released from the hospital this afternoon. He was immediately arrested and charged with murder in the second degree and unlawful use of a weapon in relation to the death of his wife in Portland, Oregon several weeks ago." Haynes is currently being held at the Multnomah County Detention Center. He had not been charged or taken into custody, as he was hospitalized after being taken into custody for a medical issue not related to his arrest. Billy Haynes' career would span 13 years before his eventual retirement in 1996, having made a name for himself in many promotions across the United States, including WWE, NWA, WCW, and the USWA, and also worked for New Japan Pro-Wrestling. He now looks set to spend the rest of his life behind bars if found guilty, following the reported domestic incident from earlier this month. And next, has a major AEW return just been leaked? A recent trademark filing would reveal that All Elite Wrestling were looking to secure the term AEW Dynasty, leading to speculation what the name would be used for, with many expecting it to be used as a future television special or perhaps a pay-per-view. With reports abound that AEW will be expanding their pay-per-view schedule to 12 shows a year in the near future, it makes sense that Dynasty would be one of them, something that's now been confirmed by Fightful Select. According to a fresh report, AEW Dynasty is expected to be held in April 2024. That's if sources from within Warner Bros. Discovery and AEW are to be believed. Last week, Fightful reported that AEW filed a trademark claim for Dynasty. We've since learned via Warner Bros. Discovery sources that the trademark is connected to a pay-per-view event or special show targeted for the spring. Word within All Elite Wrestling that we've heard is that it could be an April event. Interestingly, Dynasty is the name of an MLW faction that once featured former AEW World Champion MJF, leading to speculation that the April show will see the return of the absent star. Interestingly, the two other key players in the faction, Alex Hammerstone and Richard Holiday, are currently without an exclusive contract, which means they could potentially become All Elite in the near future. That's if Maxwell decides to bring some backup with him in his battle with Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom, although bear in mind, this is mere speculation at this point. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 current AEW and WWE wrestlers who were arrested.